It started slowly. So slowly that at first, nobody thought much of it. Janelle Brown had always been the quiet strength of the sister-wives family. The calm one, the rational one, the wife who didn't need the spotlight or the drama to validate herself. She was the rock, the planner, the one who kept the family's finances organized when the rest of the household spun in circles around Kody's ever-changing whims. So when she stopped posting her usual motivational quotes online, fans took notice. When she skipped a family dinner, her kids noticed. When Christine called and got no answer, that's when the whispers began. She had disappeared before, only emotionally. But physically, she was always there, always supportive, always trying to hold a family together when she felt like she was the only one doing the work. But this time, something was different. Her silence wasn't the silence of exhaustion. It wasn't the silence of a woman trying to stay out of conflict. It was the silence of someone planning something. For the first time in years, Janelle was unreachable. Even the TLC crew noticed it. They were used to Janelle being steady, cooperative, open to filming. But suddenly, she wasn't returning scheduling calls. She wasn't confirming shoot times. She wasn't offering commentary or agreeing to interviews. She was, in the most literal sense, gone. And Kody, immediately, he felt it. He liked to play at the notion that Janelle was disengaged or distant. But deep down, he knew he always counted on her. Financial stability, wife who took responsibility, who paid her share, who never squabbled when burden was too much. She had always taken on more than she should have. He counted on that. But now, she wasn't answering his calls either. He shrugged it off at first, assuming she was being emotional or taking space. But days turned into weeks. Even Kody felt the shift. Something was changing. Something he wasn't controlling. Meanwhile, Janelle quietly packed a suitcase. No runaway moment. No dramatic escape. Just a simple, organized packing session. The kind she had done 100 times before, for work trips or family visits. Yet this time, her hands shook a little as she folded her clothes. Because this wasn't just a simple trip. This was the start of her new life. She sat at her kitchen table, staring at her phone before leaving. Her kids had flooded the screen with messages, concerned yet trusting. She wrote them simple, reassuring responses. I'm okay. I just need a little time. I'll explain it all shortly. But she didn't explain yet. Not even to Christine, her closest friend, her sister, in everything but blood. Because what Janelle was doing required absolute silence. If word got out too early, the wrong people would find out, and one person wrong in particular, Kody Brown. He had a way of inserting himself into her decisions, manipulating outcomes, twisting her logic until she questioned her own instincts. She had spent years fighting for her independence, fighting for her voice, and she wasn't about to let him talk her out of this. So she slipped out of town. She drove through the red sands of Utah, the desert light flickering off her windshield, like golden sparks. The farther she got from Flagstaff, the lighter she felt. It was as if decades of stress were lifting from her shoulders with every mile. Halfway along the drive, she stopped on a scenic overlook. Not because she needed a break, but her phone did buzz. It was a message from him. Kody, where are you? We need to talk about the Coyote Pass payments. Call me back. Even when she disappeared, even when she distanced herself emotionally, he still saw her as an asset, a resource, a solution to his financial disasters. She put the phone face down. No response. Not this time. She wasn't running away from the family. She wasn't running from responsibility. She was running toward something, toward someone. For months, there had been a quiet presence in her life, a man she knew long before she married into the Brown family. Someone from her past, who had appeared at an unlikely time. Messages started to fly back and forth, then calls, then long calls that stretched late into the night. His name was Michael. He wasn't dramatic. He didn't need 5 people to tell him that he was perfect. He did not insist on spiritual loyalty or emotional obedience. He was calm, steady, and gentle. When she spoke, he listened. He never raised his voice. He never made her feel small. Every conversation with him reminded Janelle of who she used to be, and who she still could be if she allowed herself the chance. He had lost his wife years ago, and had been raising his teenage daughter all by his lonesome. He knew pain, knew rebuilding life from the ashes, and more than that, loneliness. When he told Janelle that he admired her strength, not the strength she pretended to have on camera, but the quiet strength she held inside, something stirred in her chest that hadn't felt the same in years: hope. She didn't jump into anything. She didn't rush. She didn't let the emotions fog her judgment. That wasn't Janelle's style. Measured, cautious, thoughtful, she was all those things. But with each meeting, with each shared word, something undeniable grew between them. And now, she was driving towards him, closer to the life she wanted. As Janelle arrived in St. George, Utah, she checked into a small, private inn under a different name, a protective measure suggested by one of Michael's friends. Her room was simple, peaceful, decorated with soft desert colors. She felt safer there than she had in years. That evening, the first time she saw Michael standing outside the inn, waiting for her with a smile, her breath caught. He hugged her gently, as if he could feel the weight she carried. "You don't have to explain anything," he said softly. "I'm just glad you're here." And for the first time in decades, Janelle felt truly seen. Meanwhile, back in Flagstaff, the storm clouds were forming. Kody kept calling, then texting, then calling again. He even questioned the kids, assuming they were covering for her. He made frantic calls to friends, to production staff, to anyone who might know where she was. But nobody did. Because Janelle has finally learned something important. If you want peace, you have to stop giving chaos a map to find you. And it was now, on this quiet Utah night, sitting with Michael, talking about nothing and everything, that she finally told the truth to him and to herself. "I think my time with Kody, it's done," she whispered. Michael nodded softly. It should have been done long ago. She felt the gathering of tears at the corners of her eyes, not from sadness, but from relief, from clarity, from freedom. She wasn't just disappearing from Kody's world. She was stepping into her own. And this quiet disappearance, this silent, calculated move, was only the beginning. Because what Janelle didn't know was that her secret trip, and the reason behind it, would soon explode into something far bigger than anyone expected. Something that would change everything for the Brown family. Something that would push Kody into a financial crisis he couldn't escape. Kody Brown always thought he was one of those people who could read others, especially his wives. He was so cocky, thinking that he could predict their moods, their intentions, their weaknesses. It was his self-proclaimed gift as the head of a plural family. He bragged he knew what made each wife tick. He bragged to cameras that he understood every angle of the family dynamics. But with Janelle, well, he never saw it coming. Because while Kody lives loudly, shouting, performing, demanding attention, Janelle lives quietly. And quiet people hold secrets better than anyone. 3 weeks since she vanished, the frustration had metamorphosed into full-blown panic within Kody. The kind of panic that doesn't show on the outside immediately, but boils under the surface until it erupts in every decision, every word, every twitch of the eyebrow. He first attempted to make everything appear normal. "She just needs space," he said to Robin, pacing across their living room like a caged animal. "She always comes around. She always listens eventually." But even as he said it, his voice was trembling. Robin watched him closely. She knew him. She knew when his ego was cracked. And right now it wasn't just cracked, it was collapsing. The last few years had already weakened his sense of power. As Christine left, Mary drifted away, and Janelle became increasingly independent. But losing Janelle altogether? That would be a fatal blow, especially financially. And Kody knew it. In the quiet moments when Robin wasn't in the room and the cameras were off, Kody pulled out folders, thick folders, of financial documents. Bills, deeds, loans, tax papers. He flipped through them with frantic fingers. So many of those documents had two names on them, Kody Brown and Janelle Brown. It was the arrangement he had relied on for years. He used Janelle's financial discipline to keep the family functioning. She was stable, responsible. She had good credit and excellent budgeting skills. She worked hard and earned more than most of the others. And Kody had always taken advantage of that. He figured she wouldn't go because she was far too logical to walk away from their tangled financial mess. He assumed she needed him. He assumed she would not want to start over. But now she was gone, and the panic began to well up like a tide. The first real crack appeared when one of their shared property lenders called him. "Mr. Brown, we have not been able to contact Janelle for her signature on the renewal documents." Kody's heart slammed against his ribs. He forced a false laugh. "Yeah, she's busy. She'll get that sorted." But deep inside, the terror took hold. That night, he slept very little. He paced. He mumbled to himself. He imagined scenarios, none of them good. Was she sick? Was she in hiding? Was she leaving? Was she with somebody? The last thought hit him like a punch. Kody took it for granted that he was the center of their wives' emotional world. Even when they fought with him, he considered that they would always revolve around him. The thought of someone else replacing him, especially in Janelle's life, made his stomach twist. He started calling everybody the next morning. He called Janelle's children and feigned calmness. "Hey, you guys heard from Mom? She's not responding, and I am getting worried." But they heard the strain in his voice. They weren't deceived. Gabe bit back the sarcasm. "No, Dad, she's fine, and she doesn't need to check in with you." Garrison, colder. "She's finally taking care of herself. Let her." Furious, Kody hung up. "How dare they speak to me like that?" He snapped at Robin. "How dare Janelle disappear like this? She owes me." Front, he stopped mid-sentence because even he knew how bad that sounded. But the truth slipped out in that unfinished sentence. He believed Janelle owed him loyalty, owed him access, owed him obedience, owed him her financial stability. And losing any of that terrified him. 2 days later, he heard the rumor that tipped him over the edge. A distant cousin of the Browns he had never met, yet had always been a trifle over-interested in family affairs, called him breathlessly. "Kody, I don't want to get involved, but I think I saw Janelle with a man." Time stood still. "What?" Kody demanded, clenching the phone so hard his knuckles whitened. "She was at a jewelry store in St. George with a tall guy. They were looking at rings. Rings. Not bracelets. Not necklaces. Not earrings. Rings." Kody's heart dropped straight into panic. "She wouldn't do that," he snapped. "Not without telling the family. Not without me." He didn't finish the sentence. The fear was written on his face. Robin walked in, catching the tail end of the call. What happened? Kody lowered the phone, his eyes wide, wild almost. She's getting married, he whispered. Robin gasped. No, she wouldn't. Yes, he exploded. Betraying us, betraying me after everything I've done for her. He started pacing, running fingers through his hair in repetition. Worse, if Janelle were to remarry, he felt the financial consequences would be disastrous. Legally, everything connected with the Brown family could change. Assets would come under scrutiny. Debts would be reevaluated. Joint accounts would dissolve. Shared property would be placed into a state of renegotiation. Worst of all, that would legally give Janelle a financial identity separate from his, which meant he would be saddled with the debts, the Coyote Pass obligations, the payments in arrears, the tax complications, everything he had balanced secretly, depending on Janelle's reliability. Gone. Within hours, his mind began to transition into survival mode. He wasn't thinking about the happiness of Janelle. He wasn't thinking about respecting her choices. He was not thinking about her emotional well-being. He was thinking about himself, his money, his reputation, his control, his show, his image, his last remaining tower. At one time, Robin tried to calm him. Kody, maybe it's not what it looks like. No, he snarled, pounding his fist on the table. She's plotting something, and I won't let her destroy it all. Destroy everything, or simply free herself? Kody couldn't tell the difference anymore. His thoughts spiraled. What if she was getting legally married? What if she was relocating permanently? What if she filed paperwork to dissolve their property connections? What if TLC saw her moving on and shifted the show away from him? His voice trembled as he whispered, "If she's really doing this, it'll ruin me." And that was the moment, the exact moment, which brought out the hidden truth. He wasn't afraid of losing Janelle. He was afraid of losing what she provided. Stability, credit. It means financial safety, structure, balance. All the things he needed. Never appreciated, but always needed. Desperation set in. He searched through her last known credit card transactions. He tracked her last stop for petrol. He dug through old text messages for clues. He checked family group chats. He even asked the TLC producers if they knew where she was. Nothing. She had vanished too cleanly, and that scared him more than anything. Because Kody Brown, the man who once juggled 4 marriages, was losing control of the one woman he thought would never leave him. And the idea that she might be standing somewhere with another man looking at wedding rings. That idea broke his ego, as would glass. At that moment, Kody wasn't thinking about love. He didn't dwell on the past. He did not think about the family. He was thinking about one thing: stopping Janelle before she ruined him financially. But what he hadn't known was that she was already gone, already free, already choosing a life without him. Janelle woke up in St. George to the soft desert sunlight spilling across her room. The morning was warm, still, peaceful, a peace she hadn't felt in so long that it almost startled her. She lay still for a moment, listening to the quiet. No children arguing. No camera crews outside. No Kody pacing and shouting about land payments or spiritual responsibilities. Just quiet. Just space. Just freedom. She didn't know how long she stayed like that, breathing in the quiet, but finally she sat up and reached for her phone. She expected messages, maybe from her kids, maybe from Christine, but instead, she saw something like a message from Michael. Michael, good morning. Are you ready for today? Her stomach fluttered. Today was not just one more step. It was the step, the beginning of something new, something separate, something hers. She typed back, Janelle, as ready as I'll ever be." Then she showered and dressed simply, tying back her hair the way she liked it. Not because anybody told her that didn't look feminine enough, or proper, or pretty for her husband. Janelle had spent years shrinking herself to fit Kody's expectations. And she didn't realize how exhausting that had been until now. She walked down at 10 a.m. to the small cafe connected with the inn, and there he was, Michael, a man whose presence seemed like sunlight. Cool, steady, warm. He stood as he saw her, smiling in such a way that softened every line on her face. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't trying to impress. He didn't make everything about himself. He just made her feel appreciated. "You look beautiful," he said quietly. Janelle's cheeks flushed warm. It had been a long time since she'd heard those words spoken with sincerity, not as a performance for cameras, or an attempt to keep peace in half measures. They sat down, ordered coffee, and talked about the day. Not the ceremony, that part was simple, but the details surrounding it. Logistics, protection, secrecy. For as small and intimate as this wedding was, there was one very clear risk. Kody could find out, and if he did, he would try to stop it. Michael had not grasped the depth of the drama coming with the Brown family. He had seen the show, heard the stories, observed the tension, just never lived inside it. He didn't know how deeply Kody relied on emotional manipulation, or how quickly he could spiral into rage when he lost control. But Janelle knew, and so did Christine. At about 11 a.m., Janelle drove to a small office of the wedding planner, nestled between two shops in downtown St. George. The storefront was nondescript, almost invisible, perfect for what she needed. Christine was already waiting inside. Christine rushed forward and hugged her so tightly when she saw her that Janelle almost burst into tears. "Oh my gosh, you're really doing this," Christine whispered, shaking with joy. "Yes," Janelle said softly, "I really am." Christine pulled back, wiping the corner of her eye. "You deserve this. You deserve happiness, peace, love. All of it." The planner, a gentle woman with soft gray hair, named Marcy, greeted them. She had planned dozens of small, private desert weddings. But when she learned that the bride was Janelle Brown, from that Brown family, she instantly understood why secrecy was key. Marcy had already selected a spot secluded into red rock cliffs. No tourists around, no hikers, no onlookers. Only nature, silence, and open sky. The guest list was minuscule, less than 15. Christine and her daughters. Of her children, only 2 could slip away without anyone noticing. Michael's daughter, 2 friends, and a camera? No, not this time. Not TLC, not reality TV. Once in her life, Janelle wanted something sacred. As they discussed final details, Marcy turned to Janelle gently. "Would you like to write your own vows?" Janelle froze. The idea felt daunting, vulnerable, raw. But then she nodded. "Yes," she whispered, "I do." After the planning meeting was over, Janelle and Christine stepped out into the bright afternoon sun. Christine linked her arm with hers. "How are you feeling?" Christine asked. "Nervous," Janelle replied. "But good nervous." Christine nodded knowingly. "The kind of nervous you feel before choosing happiness." They shared a smile that was built from years of surviving the same man, the same emotional storm, and the same manipulations. They had held each other through tears, chaos, and heartbreak, watched each other rise from ashes. And now, Christine was here to watch Janelle rise too. Later that afternoon, Janelle drove to a small boutique to pick up her dress. It wasn't extravagant, no giant train, no shiny beads, no flashy sleeves. It was soft ivory, simple, elegant, timeless. A dress that felt like her. As she was inside, she heard a couple whispering. Isn't that Janelle Brown from Sister Wives? Janelle stiffened. She couldn't afford attention. She paid in a hurry and slipped out the back door. She didn't want anything, much less anyone, ruining the ceremony. But as she walked out into the alley, a chill of some kind ran down her spine. She suddenly had the feeling that someone was watching her, or behind her, or talking about her. She brushed it off, but she shouldn't have, because she didn't know that earlier that day, the same distant cousin who saw her in the jewelry shop posted an innocuous-sounding message online. Just saw something crazy in St. George. Sister Wives fans, stay tuned. Hours later, that cousin would text Kody, and everything would start to unravel. But for now, in her own little bubble of peace, Janelle went back to the inn, where she spotted Michael sitting outside on a bench. He stood when he saw her come up, his eyes immediately softening. "Did everything go okay?" he asked. "Yes, it did," she demurred. "There's just one thing I'm worried about." "Kody?" he asked softly. She nodded. "He won't understand. He'll think I'm betraying him. He'll think I'm hurting him." She swallowed hard. "But I'm just trying to live my life." Michael leaned in closer and placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You've given enough. You've sacrificed enough. You deserve to choose yourself now. And if he tries to get in the way—" His voice hardened slightly. "We'll protect this moment." She breathed hard, her nerves soothed by his reassurance. They spent the rest of the night writing vows together, but not in the same space, quietly, alone, reflecting on their journeys. Janelle's hand shook with every sentence, not for a lack of confidence in her decision, but because she was allowing herself to hope for the first time. The vow was not about fairy tales. It was about healing, about resilience, about choosing a love that didn't come with fear. By the time the sun was setting over the red cliffs, Janelle felt something she hadn't felt in decades: stillness. Later that night, Christine knocked on her door. "Are you ready for tomorrow?" Janelle nodded slowly. "More ready than I've ever been." Christine embraced her again. "You're not just getting married, you're reclaiming your life." And she was right. Yet as Janelle lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, one unspoken truth had teetered there in the air. If Kody found out, he would come for her. He would try to stop her. Anything to retain control. The last thought before she sank into sleep was a simple prayer. "Oh, let tomorrow be peaceful. Please don't let him find me. Please, may my freedom remain mine." But the universe had other plans, because miles away in Flagstaff, Kody had already discovered the truth. And he was getting in his car. Kody Brown always thought he was invincible. With every breakup, with every fight, with every wife who had left him, he still managed to walk through life with the confidence of a man who thought it would all somehow work in his favor. But this time, it was different. The person he underestimated the most this time around was Janelle Brown, and she had the match in her hand. And the fuse? It had already been lit. Following the viral photos of Janelle's secret wedding hitting the internet, Kody expected his phones to buzz with one thing: gossip. What actually came was not expected by him. The first blow wasn't from fans. It originated from his own bank. On that cold morning, Kody stepped into the branch he'd been avoiding for months. The air smelled of carpet cleaner and fake smiles. He greeted the teller proudly, putting on a face that nothing was wrong. But the manager came out with a look of worry and said the words that made Kody feel his chest tighten. "Mr. Brown, we have a problem." He handed Kody a folder. Inside was a litany of delinquent payments, overdue accounts, and assets marked for repossession. His truck, his tools, even the plot of land he bragged about on camera. Kody blinked. This? This can't be right. But it was. Because in the time Kody had spent trying to convince the world he was still in control, he managed to overlook what Janelle had been quietly, carefully, legally setting up. When Janelle married again, this time to someone stable, financially smart, and business-minded, she didn't just start a new chapter. She closed the book on a 30-year financial entanglement with Kody. Here is the plot twist that came as a shock to many fans. Janelle's new husband helped her reorganize her finances. She filed to remove her name from old Brown family property loans. She transferred her retirement funds out of joint accounts. She officially cut financial ties with Kody. But when Janelle pulled out, Kody lost perhaps the biggest lifeline he didn't want to admit he was dependent on: her perfect credit and steady financial history. She had, for years, covered the property taxes, organized bills, and kept the family afloat during chaos. Without her, the Brown financial system went down like a cardboard box in a hurricane. While Kody was drowning in delinquent payments, Janelle was glowing like she'd been lit by studio lights. The wedding had gone viral. Fans were obsessed. Reporters wanted interviews. Her new husband had come to symbolize the fresh start she deserved. And for the first time in her entire adult life, Janelle looked completely unburdened. Videos of her smiling on a beach, laughing while dancing, holding hands with her new partner at a farmer's market. Every clip stung Kody just a little more. He told anyone who would listen, "She's only acting. She's doing this for attention." Pero ya nadie le creía más. Because the world could see what Kody refused to accept. Janelle wasn't acting. She was finally free. Embarrassed, angry, and desperate, Kody launched into damage control mode. He pulled out every trick in his book. He called lawyers. He asked for audits of property. He accused Janelle of manipulating the system. He said that marriage was staged to hurt him. But here's what shocked Kody most. The lawyer peered at a contract Janelle signed years ago, this one he thought tied her to him financially forever, and said, "Mr. Brown, she followed the law. She owed you nothing." Kody froze. All these years, he truly believed his charm, his influence, and his family structure would protect him from consequences. But this time, there was nothing he could spin. Nothing that he could turn to his advantage. Nothing he could control. The law spoke for itself. The accounts were clear. The debt was clear. And the most painful part, Janelle hadn't sabotaged him. She just walked away. And when she walked, she took the stability he'd relied on for decades. When Kody's financial troubles leaked onto the internet, Sister Wives fans proved merciless. Janelle upgraded, Kody downgraded. Kody really thought 4 wives, 4 bank accounts. He treated her like an accessory, and now she is living her best life. Every meme, every comment, every repost chipped away at him. Christine laughed on a live stream. Mary made a cryptic post. Even Robin fell silent. Silent not with words, but even more painfully so. And Kody realized something he had never faced before. Smack in the middle of debt collectors, confused property documents, and embarrassment, Kody did something nobody expected. He drove to Janelle's new home. He didn't knock. He didn't text. He burst in while her husband was outside grilling in the backyard. Janelle came to the door in shock. "Kody, you can't be here." But Kody wasn't listening. Sweating, angry, and shaking, he sputtered. "Fix this. You have to fix this. You can't just leave me with all of this. We were a family." Janelle stepped back, not out of fear, sorely disappointed. "Kody, you didn't lose the money because of me. You lost it because you would not listen. You refused to change." Behind her appeared her new husband, composed yet firm. "Time to leave, Kody. Kody's face contorted with humiliation. How can you let him replace me? And then Janelle said the line that would be echoed across Sister Wives fan pages for weeks. Kody stumbled back, defeated, speechless. It was the first time in a long while he had been told anything near the truth. As Kody drove home that night, the world felt heavier. The bills started piling up. Cameras were calling. Fans were laughing. Sister Wives was losing viewers. And he suddenly realized Janelle's new marriage wasn't his final betrayal. It was his final wake-up call. But the real shock? The one in session 5? Kody finds something out about Janelle's new husband that turns everything upside down. And it's something he never expected. If Kody Brown thought the humiliation from Janelle's wedding was bad, if he thought the financial collapse was painful, if he thought that losing Janelle was the worst thing that could ever happen to him, he had no idea what was coming next. Because the man Janelle married, whom Kody mocked and underestimated and called a nobody, wasn't just some new husband. He was the final card in a deck Kody had accidentally built himself, and now that card was about to bring the whole house crashing down. 3 days after Kody stormed out of Janelle's house, he got a knock on his door. Not a friendly one. Not a family visit. Not even from a debt collector. It was a man in a professional black jacket, holding a briefcase. "Mr. Brown," he said firmly, "we need to talk about a case that's been reopened." Kody's stomach twisted. What case? The man handed him a letter. The headline read, Kody blinked hard. Property complaints? From when? The investigator rapped on the folder. These were filed years ago, by a group of contractors. He stopped. One of them is now married to your ex-wife, Janelle. The blood drained from Kody's face. No. Impossible. It couldn't be that contractor. But deep down, Kody already knew. Years earlier, when the Browns were still filming Heavy and the dream of Coyote Pass was still alive, Kody hired a group of local contractors to clear land, draw plans, and begin prepping the site. One of the contractors was a quiet, highly experienced guy named Mark Ellison. He was professional, reliable, honest, everything that Kody ever pretended to be. Mark told Kody the truth. The land required more work. The costs were higher than Kody expected, and some permits weren't filed correctly. Kody didn't want to hear any of that. He accused Mark of overcharging him. He threatened to pull the contract. He refused to pay for the completed work. And worst, he had directly badmouthed Mark to other local builders, labeling him incompetent. Mark had filed a complaint, but the case fell silent until now. And now, Mark wasn't just a contractor. He was Janelle's husband. Kody shoved the papers at the investigator. Look, this is old. It's over. This guy's just bitter. The investigator didn't bat an eye. Actually, Mr. Brown, it's very much not over. Kody felt his chest tighten. What do you mean? He opened the briefcase, laid out some documents on the table. Copies of unpaid invoices. Agreements signed with Kody's signature. Photos of work completed on Coyote Pass. Emails wherein Kody insulted and threatened Mark. Evidence of late or missed payments. Statements from 2 other workers confirming Mark's allegations. Kody swallowed hard. No spin. No excuses. No charm. Just cold, hard proof. And then the final blow came. Mr. Ellison has decided to reopen the case now that he has recovered from the financial impact your decisions caused. And now that he is legally tied to the Brown family through marriage, he wants resolution. Pause. Resolution. A nice word for responsibility. That night, Kody paced his living room like a wild animal. He slammed doors. He hurled papers. He yelled at the walls. He planned this. He married her to get back at me. This is revenge. But even Robin, who usually fed his delusions, didn't look convinced. "Kody," she whispered, you did owe him money. You said the project was paused, but—" Kody whipped around. "Are you taking their side?" Robin stepped back. It was only then that he realized for the first time. She wasn't blindly defending him. Even she could see the truth he had spent years avoiding. While Kody spiraled, Mark sat down with Janelle and told her everything. He explained the old conflicts, the unpaid bills, the public insults, the financial damage, the lawsuits that fizzled out because he couldn't afford the legal fight. Janelle listened in horror. "Kody never told us any of this." Mark smiled softly. "Of course he didn't. He doesn't tell the truth when the truth makes him look small." Janelle realized something painful. All those years, she bought into Kody's stories of bad contractors, unreliable workers, and people trying to scam him. He was not the victim. He was the problem. Mark laid his hand over hers. "This isn't about revenge. It's about closure. It means doing things right." Tears were welling up in her eyes, but not of sadness, tears of relief. For the first time, she was married to a man who handled conflict with honesty instead of chaos. In a week, the investigator set up an appointment. Kody arrived furious. Janelle arrived composed. Mark came prepared. When Kody saw him, he exploded. You're only doing this because you married her. This is some plot." Mark replied quietly, "Kody, I met Janelle long after our business was done. I didn't even know she was your wife at first. But your actions, they caused real financial harm. You signed contracts, then walked away." Kody snorted. "I don't owe you anything." A contract was slid forward by the investigator. "Actually," he said, "legally, you do." Janelle glanced over at Kody, not in anger, but with a disappointment so deep it cracked something in him. Mark continued, "I'm not here to ruin you, Kody. I'm here because you ruined something of mine years ago." This is accountability, not revenge. Kody firmed his jaw. He hated accountability more than anything on earth. And then came the final twist. Mark explained that he wasn't just a contractor anymore. He now owned a successful development company himself, the kind of company the Browns once hoped to work with. And he concluded with, "Kody, I didn't come to tear you down, but I will not allow you to overlook a debt you yourself have incurred." Not again. Kody stormed out of the meeting, red-faced, panted heavily, blaming everyone but himself. He yelled at the cameras. "Janelle let him in. She picked him to hurt me. This is a setup." But the viewers weren't deceived. For the first time, the world saw Kody fully exposed, not some kind of misunderstood patriarch, but as a man who built his own downfall. The bankruptcy, the failed marriages, the financial mayhem, it all led back to one person, Kody himself. And Mark? He was not the bad guy. He was just the man who finally connected the dots. Weeks later, Janelle stood on a small hill overlooking Kody Pass, the land she once dreamed of living on with her sister wives. Mark wrapped his arm around her. "You okay?" he asked softly. She nodded. "I'm good." She looked at the sunset. "I've spent half my life cleaning up someone else's mistakes. I used to think leaving would free me. But this?" She gestured toward Mark. "This is real freedom." Mark kissed her forehead. Behind them, Kody Pass sat untouched, a reminder of broken promises and unfinished dreams. But Janelle wasn't looking back anymore. She was moving forward.